Okay, so in order to create a new page on your website, what you have to, there's two ways to do it. And the first way to do it is to just go ahead and copy all the text here. And this is actually my preferred way of doing it because when you get into Python programming, it's easier to code right into the class as opposed to using a static file. Um, but we'll go over both methods for adding a page. So we've got the text here printed to the screen, all the HTML. We can call this test page 4. And then we just come down here to add so that it routes. If somebody goes to on your website, like yoursite.com/test4, it knows to send it to the class called test4, which is this one right here that we just created. So if we go ahead and save that and then pull up the developmental server. So this is the main page, but now if we go to /test4, it takes us to the page test4 and then whatever information that you've got there. So let's go back to the code. So that's the first way to do it. And the second way is to actually create a static file. So we're going to call this test5. And so first, let's go ahead and create the static file by clicking on the static folder and then clicking on this add file button, and we'll call it test5.html. Make sure you add the .html so it knows it's an HTML file, and then just create your HTML. Put it in for me. There we go. And then save it. Save it. So we called it test5. So you just have to change the name of what you're trying to open, and then it reads it and prints what's in the file to the screen. So then we need to come down here. So regardless of which way you're doing, whether you're using a static file or if you are adding or you're just printing the code directly to the screen, then you still need to use the or you still need to add it down here so that with your app.root it adds it. And then so now if we go to the development server, go to test 5. This is test 5, and there's that. And if you do have it in a static folder, there's actually 2 ways you could navigate to it. You could either go to /test5 because that's what we added it here, but you can also directly go to it. Test5.html, and it takes you to the same page. Easiest way is just to do the /test5, but both are options. And then as far as navigating through your site, so let's just throw in here in this test 5. You just have to add your a tag, and usually you're going to want to have a nav bar at the top of your at the top of any of your web pages to be able to navigate around. But I mean, in your nav bar, you're going to have this anyway. But anyway, so you'll have your a tag to click through. So now when we click that, now it's going to take us to test 4 instead, so that each page you're on, and the reason you have the nav bar is so that people can, regardless of what page they're on, and you're going to have that same nav bar on any page that you're at. So a good way to actually do that, and I haven't really covered that with you guys yet before, is what you can do is, so like let's create a new Python file. All right, so we've got a new Python file, and it's in our regular folder with our main. It's not in our static folder. You don't want it in your static folder, because then you'll just have to navigate to that. But you can create, so like HTML1 equals HTML2. And what you're doing is you're creating a variable, and you'll learn more about that in once you get into Python. But HTML is you can create your HTML1, HTML2 in variables, and then like you create your nav, and then have your, and then usually you're going to style your nav more too, but I'm not going to get into that until you're in CSS. But you have your nav, and then you have well, I don't even know if we created a test one. We'll find out. Test 1 page. Test 2. And then as opposed to, well, the first thing you need to do is you have to import that HTML file before you can use any of the variables. So up here, you throw in from HTML file, import star for all. And then, and the reason you can technically import each individual thing that you have there, so it doesn't import everything. But if you're just going to be using everything, you can just do import star to import all. But usually when you're importing stuff, you want to import the classes individually, like up here. But anyway, if you know you're importing it all, just import star. It's fine. Oh, sorry, not star. It's, well, it is a star, the little, multiplication symbol. But anyway, so then on, as opposed to having all this HTML, having to navigate to it, just whatever you're printing, you can print, and then do one, oops, and print HTML2. Let's do the same thing. Let's just do it everywhere. We're not going to be able to do it with the static files. We'd have to copy and paste it for the static files, but this is why I like to do it in Python. And there is actually ways to do it with static files if you then, especially with Flask, but I'm not going to cover that right now. But you can do render template with Flask and then insert stuff into your static files, but I like to do it this way. But anyway, so now if we, oops, well, let's just go here. Oh, did I not put, oh, I didn't put one. Oops, HTML1. Did I not close it? Hold on. Oh, I did not. Save that. Okay, so then you can navigate around through, test 2, but this one was one of the ones we did with static, so it's not got the nav bar, but then, the code that you write that's going to be the same for everywhere is, you're able to reuse it. So that is how to add a page to your web page. All right, and I'll stop the video before going to questions.